Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, it has been well documented that there is a widespread digital transformation of companies at significant pace and across all industries. Old job roles are disappearing and being replaced by new ones. But we do need to talk about the tech skills gap and how we can bring everyone along for the ride and ensure that we don't leave anyone behind. So for those reasons alone, I was excited to invite Boris Paillard onto the podcast. And he is the founder and CEO of Le Wagon, the world's leading coding and data science educational bootcamp. And I want to invite him on here to discuss why we're currently seeing such a high demand for data science skills and how, as demand of these skills continues to increase, it's important that we understand what is driving that demand and put things in place accordingly. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Paris so we can speak with Boris about all this and how through immersive coding bootcamps like Le Wagon, we can teach skills and an entrepreneurial mindset that you need to thrive, not only now, but in the future too. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Boris. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, definitely. So hi, Neil. So I'm Boris Paillard. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of a company called Le Wagon. So originally, I'm a former engineer in the bank. I studied applied mathematics and engineering, and I worked 3 years and a half for HSBC as a quantitative analyst. And after a while, I decided to change career. I learned to code and ultimately launched my own coding school. So Le Wagon is a coding school, and we are specialized in very immersive boot camps in web development and data science. So basically what we do is we teach students the skills they need in order to find a job as a web developer or a data scientist in a very short period of time. So in 2 months full-time or 6 months part-time. So either they can get a job or they can start their own project as entrepreneur or start a career doing some freelance work. So we've been doing that for the last 7 years. And we're located in 40 campuses on all continents, have more than 10,000 graduates, and on the bootcamp rankings, Switch Up and Course Report, we are ranked as kind of one of the best bootcamps in the world according to student reviews. So that's basically what I do.
Love that. And like you said, Le Wagon is a coding bootcamp that teaches students to develop web applications right from scratch. It's incredibly cool what you're doing here. But I've got to ask, where did the idea for it come from? And what's the story behind the company?
Yeah, I mean, as I was telling you, I was still doing some probability models in the bank, and I actually wanted to change career, and I didn't know exactly if it was to launch my own project or get a different career opportunities in a tech company, for instance. And naturally, what I did is start to learn to code on my own. And luckily for me, I had some friends at the time, like developers, who helped me a bit to find the right resources. And while I was learning to code on my own, in the process, I realized how different this was from the computer science education I received in my master's degree in my engineering school. And I realized that there was a different way to teach, for instance, web development, way more product driven, about like building software and not about too much of theory. And that was more adapted also to the needs of the companies or of the people. So that's where actually, instead of looking for another job, because I was always passionate about education and explaining things to others, well, I decided that to launch my own school and build different boot camps teaching web development in a new approach. So very hands-on and very based on teaching people how to build actual products.
Awesome. And just to set the scene, I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more about the historic data skills gap, because I think it's such a hot topic at the moment, and we seldom talk about why it existed and how we got where we are, and also what's changing. So is that something you can expand on?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because like we followed a bit like the acceleration of the data skills gap. And that's why we decided to launch our second bootcamp in data science a year and a half ago. We were following a bit the industry in some way, and we were waiting for the maturity of the data science industry to be at the moment where we could develop a new program on that. And now we have these two bootcamps running. So I think that, of course, data science has been a hot topic for a few years now. So there is nothing really new. I mean, everyone is speaking about AI and data for a while. I've been speaking about that for a while. But I think it's just accelerating now because of two reasons. On the one hand, of course, all the companies, they are digitized. They are using lots of software. So not only like external software for their consumers, but also a lot of internal software. So they are using CRM or like software for their financial data, or for marketing, for operation, for any departments, they are using software. And this, of course, in return is generating massive volume of data. And also companies get better and better at actually centralizing this data so that they are more like that easier to use in some way. And this generates more opportunities to use this data to make better decisions. So that's one of the reasons why there is a growing need of skills to make the most out of this data. And on the other hand, what's happening is there are more and more tools that make data science application more accessible to a lot of profile. So if you look, there are now like some libraries in data science that allow you to apply the most advanced models, even if you don't have a PhD in mathematics. And similarly, there are lots of cloud-based solution that allows you to perform heavy operation on big volumes of data without having a background in engineering, which means that not only like the data is here, it's massive and it's more consolidated, but also there are more tools that allow all the teams within a company, from finance to marketing to operation, to actually use this data to make better decisions or to optimize their efficiency. So all this combined create growing needs in data skills. And to cope with these needs, well, in some way, the pace of higher education and of corporate training is not really following the pace of these growing needs. And that's the exact reason why there are some companies like Le Wagon who are here to be a complement to higher education and to provide people with the skills that they can actually use using in a company about data. And we also do lots of training for companies because they don't manage to train their employee at a sufficient pace, again, to cope with their internal needs in terms of data skills.
And earlier this year, I think it was Microsoft that had said that they witnessed 2 years of digital transformation in just 2 months. And we have seen widespread digital transformation of companies right across the board, across every industry. And I'm curious, is that what you're seeing and what you think is driving demand here in 2021 for these new skills?
Yeah, I think like the industry is more mature, as I was mentioning. So, and this, I can't say that there is one specific topic in data science that's driving the demand. It's just like, as I was mentioning, what's happening is now like, it's not just the marketing teams that needs these skills. It's also people working in finance. And before, maybe financial analysts were still like doing Excel, but now they have like lots of, they can automate a lot of things, and they can also apply some data science techniques in order to be more efficient. So I think what's changing is like it's not very now global to all the teams, and the needs are in every aspect of data science. So there are needs for engineers to actually build the data pipelines and to build like warehouse to centralize data from different sources. There are needs for analysts who are people with also like a domain expertise and who are here to understand the data and build some business intelligence dashboard to make some recommendation or to make better decision. And of course, there are also needs for scientists and machine learning engineers that are here to build more advanced models in order to predict things or to improve the efficiency of operations. So I think like what's new, it's a bit like now it's very global to all teams, and now also like the industry is a bit more mature, and so it creates also like the job have also evolved a lot, and there are growing needs in every aspect, from engineering, analysis, machine learning, and even like management, because now we have like new roles of data manager, a bit like product manager in the software world, who are here to supervise data science teams and to connect with business people in order to solve like basically some challenge.
And I'm curious, are you seeing a big shift towards data-driven decision-making in businesses and a demand for more of that? Is that something that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, it's. I think like if you look at, for instance, like of course, if you look at marketing. If you go back in the day, like very long time ago, of course, there was not really a mean for marketers to know the performance of their campaigns. But in the world we live in, like the user journey are very complex. Like there are lots of different channels in order to reach an audience. And so, of course, it becomes quite impossible as a marketer to actually make decision without a data driven approach. So in some fields like marketing, it has become the norm to base your decision out of data. I think in some field like finance, it was always data. I mean, you were always basing your decision on data. Financial analysts, they've been using Excel to perform analysis and make decisions out of data for ages. So there is nothing new here. What's new is like these people start to implement some tools more advanced than Excel, like business intelligence tools. They start to also write some code to automate tasks. And in some way, they were already data-driven before, but now they are more automated in the way they take data-driven decision. And more efficient into that. So I think that that in finance, for instance, I take this as an example. People were already taking decisions based on data, but the kind of novelty is like now they are doing that with a more automated way, I would say.
And are there any other trends that you're seeing that is shaping the data science sector at the moment? Because you must be seeing a lot of big changes.
Yeah, it's. I think it's hard. Like this talk on data is hard because like so many things are going on right now. It's hard to step back from because like the needs are huge and very broad. So it's quite difficult sometimes to step back. I think we can see a big trend in of course, on cybersecurity and topics like data ethics, because as there are a lot of data that are is generated and exchanged, it raises also more vulnerability of this data that can be attacked and stolen. So of course there are lots of challenge in terms of cybersecurity and how you protect this data, and there are also like. When we are building advanced machine learning models, it can create sometimes some bias and discrimination, and there are lots of question of ethics behind all this. I was discussing with an engineer working at Monzo, like the bank service, and he was mentioning like a credit scoring model based on your first name and last name, and actually. There was some error of this model. If you had, like, for instance, a Spanish name with several first names separated like by a space, like the model was sometimes struggling to kind of parse your name, and based on that was not finding some, for instance, some record about you, and it was creating some bias in the model. So this is classic, like just one example of a very stupid error from a model based on the fact that this model is not able to recognize like a more complex name than just a single first name and single last name that can have like some impact. So this is just an example to say that all like the fact that all companies are using more machine learning and can also create new risks in terms of ethics. So that's kind of the big trend I see around cybersecurity and data ethics. But of course, there are lots of micro trends within every specific industry or department.
And for anybody listening that wants to reskill or enter a career where there is a huge shortage of skills, but they don't know where to begin, how is it you guys help them? And which countries do you serve for our international audience today?
Yeah, so we actually have two programs, one in web development and one in data science. And both of them can be done full-time during 2 months or part-time on the 2 evenings and a Saturday every week for 6 months. And we operate these programs in 40 campuses. So we have one big campus in London, one in Paris, one in Berlin. So we are everywhere in Europe, in Latin America, in Canada, and in Asia. So quite global. And with COVID, when we can't operate on campus, we offer also our courses in remote, so students can follow our courses from home, and they're not obliged to come to campus. And yeah, actually, it's on the data science course. We like to have what we call a full stack approach, and to teach all the skills to someone from A to Z, even if we have lots of students who, of course, will choose to specialize themselves after the course and apply to certain kind of job. But we think it's good to give the full picture to our students so that they're able to build a data project from scratch, from mastering all the steps needed to centralize, process the data, implement a model, and then build a data product and put it online, basically.
And how does the whole process work from start? So let's say we have somebody listening who could be anywhere in the world, and they go on the website. How does the process begin?
Yeah, so you go on the website lewagon.com, you choose your city, and then you apply. So you just write about your motivation, the reason why you want to join the course. So it's important for us to see. We don't we are not asking for for you to write a book, but to detail a bit your motivation and why you want to join the course. And based on that, you have an interview planned with the local admission manager from the campus where you've applied. And after this interview, we have an online assessment. So for instance, for data science course, there are some prerequisites, and we want people who have a basic level in mathematics. So some simple notion on what's an equation, what's a function, because this is the prerequisite of the course. And also people who have some basic knowledge of programming, so that have followed a tutorial or who did a bit of programming at school or on their own, because the courses are very fast-paced, and we don't want to lose too much time on this notion, and to build on top of this. On the web development course, we don't have prerequisites, but we are looking for candidates that basically are also social, and because it's very important for us, the group dynamic, and have the necessary soft skills and motivation, because the course is intensive and quite challenging, and we want to make sure that we have participants who will make the most out of it. So basically, after the interview, you have an online assessment, and based on that, we give you the answer, and then you can start doing the course with us.
And I'm curious, do you have any success stories or feedback you've received from people that they've successfully taken through bootcamp and have successfully reskilled or even entered a career in tech, and it's a completely different career for them? Do you get to hear any tales like that?
Yeah, I mean, on our 10,000 graduates, we have a lot of story of career change. We had students who were journalists. We had an ex-Olympic swimmer. We had a truck driver. We have lots of different candidates with very different backgrounds that after the bootcamp found a job as software developer or data analyst or data scientist. So we have lots of stories that you can find on our website. We have an alumni section on the website where we put lots of alumni stories. More looking at the data on our latest jobs report, where we ask our 2019 graduates on our European campus. 94% of our graduates have found a job after the bootcamp. So that's the latest survey we did. And a specificity of us is also that we have lots of entrepreneurs in our graduates. And in Europe only, we have more than 120 startups that were created by our alumni, and altogether they've raised more than 120 million euros in early stage funding.
Love that. And for anyone listening that would like to start a conversation with you guys, explore if they're a good fit for you guys, what's the best way of finding you online and also contacting your team if they do have any additional questions?
Yeah, the best way, so on our website, lewagon.com, when you go to a city page, of course, you will see all the information on the course and the team. So either you apply, and it's not something that's binding, or, if you apply, it's just you entering to the process and planning an interview with the admission manager. And if you are not really sure, on the city page, you can just book a call with the admission manager. So, and he or she will call you back and just discuss about your expectation and your career plan. So it's kind of a soft application if you don't want to apply directly. So I think that's the best way to quickly reach the local team and discuss with the team about your expectation. Otherwise, we do lots of free workshop, tech talks on Meetup. So again, if you're now with the COVID, we have lots of global webinars that you can follow wherever you are in the world. But if you're located in London, for instance, we do also lots of in-person events. And for that, you just need to look for Le Wagon London if you're interested into our London events on Meetup, and you will see that there is a lineup with lots of really interesting events that are free and that you can attend to just to make your first step into programming or data analytics and see if it's something that you find interesting, basically.
Excellent. And there are so many news headlines at the moment around traditional job roles that are disappearing. But what we don't talk about is there is much, much more jobs being created in the tech industry, but there is a lack of skills available there. And I always say it's a great opportunity for anyone out there, but we don't want to be leaving people behind, and we need to be investing in people, reskilling people, and bringing everyone along for the ride to fill these jobs. And for those reasons alone, I just absolutely love the great work that you're doing here in doing just that. So more than anything though, thanks for joining me today, Boris, and sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was lovely.
A big thank you to Boris for coming on the podcast today and sharing his expert perspective on these factors, and for talking about the board and also for talking about the broader trends that are shaping data science, including the widespread digital transformation of companies at significant pace across every industry. Not to mention decision-making being rooted in data, not individual judgment. And of course, exploring the historical data skills gap, why it existed, what's changing, and how we can move forward. So a big thank you to Boris for joining me on the podcast. I now throw the microphone over to everyone listening. Whatever it is, if you've got any questions, anything you want to share, if you want to come on the podcast, just email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk, where you'll find over 1,500 other interviews, not to mention the shows I host with Citrix and Netgear too. So hopefully you'll join me again tomorrow, but more than anything, just a big thank you for your time today. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.